In this video I'm going to be talking all about the Wind and Fire wheels we have for sale at Enso Martial Arts. I'm going to be giving you a little bit of the history, tell you what styles use them, what's the benefits of training with a weapon like this, and at the end I'm going to put together a short montage of people training with the Wind and Fire wheels. Hi, my name's Doug Swift. I've been doing martial arts for the past 33 years and the owner of Enso Martial Arts for the past 16 years. If you're liking this video, click the little icon below, subscribe to this channel and get all the latest videos from Enso Martial Arts. So let's get into this video and learn all about the Wind and Fire wheels we have for sale at Enso Martial Arts. So I've been making quite a few videos over the last few months, and whenever I get to a weapon I'm not quite sure about, I'm not quite sure how it evolved or the history or whatever, I'll do a quick Google search just to make sure that what's in my head is actually reality. Now these Wind and Fire wheels are a pretty obscure looking weapon, and there doesn't seem to be that much history written about them. Not anything that's easily available to me in a 5-minute search anyway. So Wikipedia has got a very small amount, a couple of paragraphs about these, and all sort of the first and second page of history is people basically copying those 2 paragraphs from Wikipedia. So there's very little information about these and like the history or how they came about. So I mean, all it says is the styles that use them, which is generally considered to be Tai Chi or Bagua. But if you do a quick YouTube search, you'll see that there's like some styles like Choi Li Foot. You do see them popping up in like Shaolin Kung Fu demonstrations and whatnot. So there are other styles that have picked them up, but Tai Chi and Bagua are kind of considered to be the main 2. I've always thought of them as a Bagua weapon, so pretty rare. Not very common, like you don't really see that many people buying them, and yeah, like people tend to buy these because they really like to pick up an obscure weapon and train with something really different. So there's not much history, there's not much going on, so I've got my own theories on this. Now if you know any different to what I'm going to say now, then please drop it in the comments because I'd really like to know more about these. I might have to go and tap my buddy from Monkey Steals Peach, my buddy Will, see if he knows anything. So Will, if you're watching, drop a comment in below because I'd really like to know a bit more about these. Now my general feeling is that this is just some weird evolution that's just gone off on some crazy tangent, and probably is some crazy evolution of the deer horn knives. And these actually make a lot more sense. It's basically just like a glorified knuckle duster in a way. So you've just got a guard, like a guard over your hand with some spikes that you can just kind of punch people and smash them. So my general feeling is that these Wind and Fire wheels are an evolution of this. So you've still got the guard, you've got something protecting your hand, that would be sharp, that bit, and maybe, you know, the deer horn knives just had this bit, this crescent moon on the front. And then over time, these would have been spikes, got longer and longer to the point where it just becomes a full circle. Now you do see people training with Wind and Fire wheels that's just a circle. There's none of these spikes on the end. So it is purely just a circle. You also do see different types of spikes, sometimes almost things that look like flames coming off them in various points, you know, less spikes or whatever. So these have been like added spikes over time, and like these would be sharpened and whatever. So I think it's just an evolution kind of from a glorified Chinese knuckle duster, and then it's just grown over time and got more and more elaborate, and you end up with something like this. That's my general feeling on how these came about, but again I don't know if it's true. Now also another feeling that I have of why these are the way they are is that you got a lot of, in China they didn't have paper money for a long time, so the banks would have to move money around, or the people who loaned money or companies or whatever would have to physically move money from town to town. So you got a lot of these caravans that needed protection. So you get a lot of bodyguards that were hired to go with these money caravans basically. And these bodyguards would have to look super imposing. So a lot of the really fancy Chinese weapons that have evolved, the really big ones, the really scary looking ones like the Guandaos and whatever, yes, there's a practical purpose to them, and they could be used and they would be sharp, and the people that carried them would be able to use them. However, the point was that you didn't really want to get attacked. So if you've got loads of crazy looking weapons being carried along next to a caravan, it's a lot less likely that bandits would attack. So it's all for show, it's all for, like, you know, saying we're here, we do not want to be attacked by you, thank you very much. And maybe these Wind and Fire Wheels, again, I am purely speculating, but were part of that kind of tradition, of the bodyguard tradition, of people looking as imposing as possible. So maybe someone had some deer horn knives, they didn't look fancy enough, and then over, you know, a couple of 100 years, these things have just evolved to look completely bonkers. That's my theory. If you've got any other ideas or concepts, please drop a comment, because I'd really like to hear your ideas on these. Let's have a look at the actual weapon and see how it's constructed. So you do get a grip on the handle. Now, it's not the biggest grip, it's not nice and plushy and soft and comforting for your hand, it is just simply a wrap around the metal. So, and obviously you get one for each wheel. Now you also get this crescent moon that I mentioned over your hand as a guard. Now this crescent moon most likely would be sharp, and it would protect your hand. Very, very good way of keeping your hand sort of safe from sort of swords and blades and whatnot. And then you've got this full circle all the way around here, and then with the spikes coming off it. Now usually you'd expect that the outsides of these wheels would be sharp, and obviously all the spikes would be sharp. So there'll be a lot of thrusting, a lot of slashing and hacking. You'd be able to do a fair bit of locking. So these spikes on the end, you'd be able to trap people, lock them up. You'd be able to trap swords inside and hook them up while you're slashing. But yeah, mainly it'd be thrusting, slashing and hacking. Pretty gruesome weapons actually in reality. There's I mean, with the wheels and the locking and being able to hook stuff up, there's a fair bit of finesse, I guess. Like Bagua and Tai Chi are known as being pretty technical, fairly elaborate, and like styles with a fair amount of finesse in them. They're not too brutal, but it'd be a relatively brutal weapon if you actually wanted to use it. Now, how are these made? Are these made out of combat ready steel, which is hyper sharp and like really heavy and all the rest of it? No, this is effectively a piece of sheet metal that's been cut out. Now, if you were going to get one of these made by a blacksmith and have all the wheels beveled and all the spikes beveled and sharpened, it will cost an unbelievable amount of money. God knows how much that cost. I'll ask a blacksmith buddy of mine to see how much that will be, but it will be a crazy amount of money. So this is a way that they can produce these relatively cheaply, so you have a weapon to train with. And loads of weapons coming out of China are produced in this way, where they're cut out of sheet metal and then finished off, polished up, given a handle wrap, so you can actually have weapons like this to train with. It's the same with the hook swords behind me. If you wanted to get them made, it will cost crazy money. Even the deer horn knives like this would cost a fair amount of money to get made in like full hardened steel. It'll be crazy. So we have these made in this way, so we can actually buy them and train with them, and yeah, and get to understanding exactly how this weapon will work. If you're going to buy a pair of these, they do come as a pair, so you do get two for your money. Now, I've never seen them use singularly. They've always come as a pair. However, you do see some forms starting where they just have the both in one hand and they do a few moves and then they split them off for extra dramatic effect. But yeah, they always come as a pair. But just having a look at some of the dimensions of these. Now, I will put as many of the dimensions I can think of on the website. I won't give them to you now because it will be fairly boring, but I'll just give you a few so you've got an idea of what you're getting. So just having a look at the diameter of the wheel. It comes in at 29 centimeters, about 11.5 inches, something like that. In terms of the handle length, make sure you can fit your hand in it. They come in around 11 centimeters or 4.5 inches, something like that. But yeah, I'll put all the dimensions of all the different bits and bobs on the website, so go check it out. Now just having a look at the weight of these, and I've weighted them individually. It's about 750, maybe a little below, grams of each wheel. Now that's a fair bit of weight, so even though they are made out of sheet steel, there's a fair bit of weight to get your arms moving, so by the end of the form, your arms are going to be tired. At Enso Martial Arts, we have quite a range of obscure Chinese weapons. So as well as the Wind and Fire Wheelswe, we also have the deer horn knives and the tiger hook swords, long weapons like the guandao, and the double-ended spear. So as promised at the beginning of the video, here was a short montage of people training with the Wind and Fire Wheelswe. Thanks very much, I hope it was useful. I hope you learned loads about the Wind and Fire Wheels we have for sale at Enso. If you like this video, click the little button in the bottom right hand corner, subscribe to this channel and get all the latest videos and updates from Enso Martial Arts. Thanks very much, and I'll see you soon. Cheers!